big news this week for War Thunder. I mean, massive news. So what we're going to do today is talk about my favorite addition, what I'm super excited for, and that is radar. The heads-up display, right? With green squares around enemy planes, a sweeping radar on the top left, an actual like compass up top that's green. Yeah, it looked really, really good. So I'm very excited about that. But we'll talk about the Tunguska because I guess this is my most anticipated vehicle. I've been asking for this thing in War Thunder for a very long time, and especially more recently with the addition of the H-1Z and helicopters that can use air-to-air missiles and a bunch of different types of air-to-ground missiles to hit the ground tanks from far, far away, right? They're pretty much untouchable. You guys know that as long as you're not in a plane going after an H-1Z, you're probably not going to hit him if he's flying super high. So, what is the Tunguska? Well, let's take a look. So, the T, or I want to say the T, but it's not a T-series tank. The Tu-S6 Tunguska is an advanced 1970s Soviet hybrid SPAA vehicle intended to replace the highly successful yet outdated Shoka. Coming as a part of the 1.78 or 1.87 update Locked On, the Tunguska will soon become the new guardian of the Soviet top-tier ground vehicles in War Thunder. So the Tunguska will be a new top-tier SPA vehicle available to all tankers with the release of 1.87. Unlike the existing SPAAG in-game, the Tunguska offers a mixed set of two anti-air weapon types, both of which are used and perform differently. Okay, I understand. This feature will give the Tunguska a its very own personal, unique play style, and will provide tankers with more variety as far as SPA gameplay. The standout feature is the hybrid anti-air armament. Unlike contemporary SPAGs, the Tunguska utilizes conventional anti-air armament represented with the dual 30mm cannons as well as ground-to-air missiles. So we're finally getting surface-to-air missiles, something that can touch these choppers from far, far away. We're going to have to see how it works. I'm curious. I'm very excited for this dev server, to tell you the truth. I think it's going to be a great patch, and they're buttoning up stuff that I think they should have buttoned up a while ago, but that's how the patches go. They usually implement something that is good, and then they'll implement the counter next patch. The two 30mm 2A38 cannons represent the Tunguska's primary anti-air armament. The cannons feature similar ballistics and are comparable to most commonly used AAs found at the top tier. With a maximum effective range of 4 kilometers, almost twice longer than the Shoka, however, the Tunguska's 30mm cannons have significantly higher rate of fire, going up to 4,000 rounds per minute. Such a high fire rate, combined with a large ammunition count of 1936, so 1936 rounds, allows the Tunguska to comfortably engage even the fastest low-flying aircraft as well as helicopters up to a certain distance, which is 4 kilometers. Following the Soviet naming tradition for SPAA, it received its name after a Siberian river. So this thing is cold-hearted. Despite the Tunguska's main gun's impressive maximum range, there's no doubt that the Tunguska will also have to deal with aerial threats such as helicopters, which operate behind the maximum range of its main guns. To combat this very serious threat, the Tunguska has a special ace up its sleeve: 8 9M311 guided ground-to-air missiles. The way these missiles operate is very similar to how the second-generation ATGMs currently work in games. Tankers fire the missile, keep the target within a crosshair, and wait for the big explosion to confirm a successful hit. The only difference between these missiles and regular ATGMs is that the former is fitted with a proximity fuse, allowing it to automatically detonate due to close vicinity to an aircraft, instead of requiring a direct hit. Due to the manual tracking system, players may have trouble to hit moving targets at high angular speed, thus it should be used when targets are moving toward or away from the launch platform. The Tunguska is based on the chassis of the GM 5970 multi-purpose combat vehicle. As such, the Tunguska doesn't sport any impressive armor protection, merely enough to protect it from small arms fire and light shrapnel. However, this also means that the Tunguska isn't very heavy either, and thanks to its 710 horsepower engine, can reach a comfortable top speed of 65 kph on roads. The Tunguska is coming to top-tier Soviet ground forces with the release of 1.87. So I'm really excited, and this adds a lot of stuff. The fact that it's a kind of semi-control thing, I like how they went with a proximity fuse. So it's not going to be a fire and forget missile. You're going to have to guide it to its target. But once you guide it to the target, you'll kill those pesky helicopters. Now, I don't know the range on these surface-to-air missiles. I wish I did. I'm sure we'll have to figure it out in the game. Maybe they don't even have a range. Maybe they just go forever and ever and ever. We'll have to find out. But this is certainly a huge improvement over the Shilka. The Shilka has been lacking kind of in terms of its anti-air department. You can't really hit helicopters with it, and not a ton of people use planes anymore, at least at 8.0, where the Shilka sits. So I have no idea what BR this thing's going to be. I have no idea what kind of ammo it's going to get for its 30 mils, but I would assume it would have some type of APDS that's able to penetrate most tanks in the side. Faster than the Shilka, more mobile, but it is a little bit taller, it looks. So it's a big boy. It's a big old boy. I'm very excited for this thing. I want to know what you guys think about this tank in particular, or this SPAAG, and how excited you guys are. But I am really excited, not only for this vehicle, but just the implementation of real radar and how it kind of works. Now, obviously, everything's dumbed down. It's an arcadey game. I'm not saying that War Thunder is like the arcade game. World of Tanks, obviously, for example, is a little bit more arcadey, but War Thunder bites on realistic aspects and makes them playable in a video game unlike any other, really. And I have zero issue with that. I'm not the type of person to be super upset about historical accuracy, as long as the gameplay is fun and enjoyable. And as long as they're still continuing on a realistic X path, I can't see this working against them in the future. I can only see more things coming, better things coming, and more exciting combat at top tier. Now, one thing to note, though, that I know some people are already probably typing about in chat is that, how am I going to grind it? How am I going to grind all of this stuff? They continuously add new vehicles and they're getting more and more expensive. And I agree with you. I think what Gaijin should do is make a set number of RP from the bottom of the tree, from reserve tanks, all the way up to the top. If you grinded one line out, for example, or the fastest way to grind, I wish that RP didn't change, regardless of how many tanks they add. So what I mean by that is, if a top tier tank costs 380,000 and they add another tank behind it, both of those tanks shouldn't cost 380,000. They should take the total RP cap and divide it up amongst the top tier vehicles and make them both cheaper. Maybe the one coming after it is going to be a little bit more expensive than the predecessor, and they'd have to lower the RP requirements. I don't have an issue with that, as long as the grind feels fun, because all of these new toys are really fun to play with, but they are a pain in the ass to get. Getting an AH-1Z, unless you do combine or Heli EC, which is boring. I liked it with playing with friends, but it is pretty boring, to be honest. Unless you do that, you will never have an AH-1Z. I don't think you'll ever have one. So it's just some food for thought. What do you guys think about that? I think that the grind needs to be addressed. They are planning to do some economic changes with the lower tier jets now, which is good. I think they were costing over $1 million still each, and now they're going to be below $1 million to buy the aircraft, which is nice. So things like that, I think, need to continuously happen to keep up with the new changes that they're implementing. You know, top tier is really fun. I would even wish that there was some type of game mode where you can experience it as a new player, experience top tier, especially with these things coming, because when you hop in an M2A4, for example, a reserve tank, it's a way different game than hopping in an AH-1Z and an M1 Abrams. It's completely different game. You'd be very surprised that it's in the same game. The only similarities are that the models look up to par with each other, right? Like the models of all the tanks look really good, but other than that, it is a completely different game. It plays completely different. There's ammunition and munitions, and penetration values even work way different at top tier. And I wouldn't even say that you need to grind the World War II vehicles in this game to get an understanding on how the game works at top tier, because it's a learning curve at top tier regardless of where you can pen, what you can do. So I'd like some type of event or game mode where new players can try out this stuff and see what they're grinding for and whatnot. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be streaming today for FUF. Please stop on by. We got some Stellas and we got some rum. And I'll be playing some War Thunder. Maybe we'll be playing with Kath and Oxy. We'll have to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.